Hi everyone, it's Kim with Vintage Vikings. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do some expandable paper envelopes for our junk journals. When I'm finishing up a journal, I like to take all the extra little bits that I had intended to go into the journal, and then I make a little side pocket or a side envelope that will go along with a journal. So like if I have this journal, I just made this to go with. And some of the fun things that I made in the right colors or with some themes, I just take and I put in a little envelope, a little pocket, a little something on the side, and give it to along with when I sell my journals on Etsy, or if I'm going to give one as a gift. In goes just some of the little extras that I didn't quite figure out where to put in the journal. Figure somebody else can put them in there. So I noticed though that the pockets were so flat that I had a hard time fitting a lot of the things in there, and I was afraid they would rip. So I needed something that could expand a little bit bigger, but still stayed flat when you squished it all down. So I needed some sort of an expandable type envelope. So I started hunting around and I found a couple, and I tried one. And I came up with this, and it was from a video that Natasha had done from Treasure Books. And this one is one that you can glue this one down, and then when you open it, you can then write on it, and then it all folds back up on itself. What I didn't like about this one was I didn't like all the white. And so if you're not using double-sided, a lot of the white showed, especially with the larger one. It just seemed like all the good stuff was on the part you were gluing, or if you're going to clip it, even if you clip it into a journal, all of the good stuff's on the back. And I thought, well, it does open and they are cute, and I'll probably use them for something, or with like a double-sided. And also I feel like there's just so much, there's so much extra that's all tied up into that. So that wasn't what I was looking for. Not a bad project, but it wasn't what I was looking for. So then I came across these little pocket type envelopes, and I thought they were adorable. So you open them up, they expand out, but mostly it's, and you can do it with book page, you can do it with music page, coffee or tea dyed paper, anything that you want to do it with, but it just kind of cut down on some of the white space. So I thought, well, let's make a few of these. This is a little piece of origami paper. When I'm learning how to do a craft and I'm following along on somebody's YouTube channel or trying to figure it out, I like using this origami paper because it's indicative of paper that's one-sided, of course, but it's also very thin and it makes it easy to fold, thus it's origami paper. And so I just made a couple of these, and then these two are out of scrapbook paper. This one is a double-sided, this is single-sided. This is a 12 by 12, and I believe this is a 6 by 6. So we're gonna make these, and then the second one will be very simply making this an expandable style envelope. So not necessarily envelopes to mail in the mail, which, I mean, you could, but you have to be careful on the thickness on those if you want to be able to use just a stamp. But expanding these so that we can use them in junk journals. Once we finish a couple of these, I'll show you how we can attach them inside of a journal and what you can do with them. So let's just get started on doing one of these. And I'm going to start with the bigger one first so that you can see a little bit easier. And for this, there's no measuring. It just has to be a square piece of paper. So when I'm using the large one, you're wanting to, because it's going to be kind of at an angle like this, if there's an upside, you'll want to kind of have the up going this way, but it's not going to really matter too much. But I just try not to use a paper that definitely has a top and a bottom to it. But something with a repeating pattern like this, it'll just be at a diagonal. So what I'm going to do is just fold it in half loosely. And what I mean by that is to just put the points together, and then just give this just kind of a little, just half of it. You know, you don't need to really give it a big crease. You just need it to leave a shadow. You can take a ruler which I don't have a ruler that fits on my desk that I can do a 12 by 12 paper, so I do the little cheater method and just use the little shadow. I don't know if you can see, am I making a shadow? There we go. So super simple, no measuring. What you're going to want to do is to take this point up and bring this all the way across until this edge is along that shadow. And I don't know if you can see that, but if you can see, that's right along the shadow, and then you're going to want to just hold it and crease it down. And if it's not exact, that's okay. Completely okay. Now with this side, easier yet, you just bring it up to that point and then hold that point and then just ease the rest of the paper to match right down the middle. And if you can see, I think I was off by about 1/4 of an inch down here. That's okay, you'll never even notice. Again, nice thing about doing junk journals is everything doesn't have to be perfect. Just craft and enjoy and relax and do it. Okay, so now you've got what looks like a little kite or old-fashioned chips cone. There we go. Okay, so now second step is you take this point that's at the very bottom, so you've got your big cone. Take this and put it about, I don't know, maybe an inch. I mean, you could do it a little closer, but I do about an inch. Just that seems to give me a nice pocket, a nice amount. If you go too far up, then when you fold this piece in, you have to double up the tip, and then it gets bulky. So I usually give it about an inch, 3/4 of an inch. If you don't do it, I mean, you could do it all the way down here, I suppose, and make your pocket even bigger. But it's up to you how you want to do it. But I usually do about an inch. Try to keep it, you know, in line with that point. Again, if you want, while you're learning how to do these, just grab a big straight edge, a piece of poster board, and make yourself a really nice line down the middle. Okay, then very simply fold this piece back right along that edge. So you can see I'm folding it right along this edge, because then that's going to make it easier. I don't know what I did with my bone folder, so I'm just using my little credit card scraper. And you just take this right along this folded edge and you tuck it inside and give her a nice crease. So if you look, she's right in there. Okay, next simple step is you'll see there's this fold that's left. Take this edge right here and match it up to there. Oh, look at that, how fabulous that looks. Okay, perfect. The nice thing about using a thinner piece of paper for this is that you'll get a nice even line, and there's not a lot of bulk, and it's not as it's not going to be as chunky. Okay, same with this. Line that up and try to line your crease right along that fold line. And again, you can use your bone folder. I'm just using my, I guess it's my glue smoothing, my glue smoosher. It's just an old bank card, my Care credit card. Okay. And see how mine kind of is starting to disintegrate? It's okay. We're going to glue this, but it's easier to not glue it ahead of time, because then otherwise you have to wait for this to dry to do this next part. All right, so if you can see, this is that point that we just made. You're going to want to simply tuck that in on itself so that then it's folding in instead of out. I can put that like that, and then this side, same thing. This piece just goes right in there like that, and we're almost done. And then what you'll want to do is to just bring this down and try to go as even as you can. You don't want to fold it all the way down because then you'll get a little tab off at the end. I mean, you could cut it, or you could, if you want it to close completely for, you could put this in the mail, I guess. But I like to leave it so it's got a little bit of extra room, so I take it to where it's almost to the end, or almost to that point. Make sure these are nice and lined up so it's, you know, that you're straight. Oh, I'm going to try to keep my dogs from barking, but the UPS man just showed up. And my one dog, who's spending the day on the couch today, likes to let everybody know the UPS man is here. So there you go. Now I'm going to just very simply unfold it. Take my Fabrifix, whatever glue you want. You can use a glue stick, you can use Fabrifix, you can use... Good boy, Rolly. He's not barking. That's a good thing. All right, we're just gonna add a little bit of glue on this tab. I use Fabrifix because I don't have any patience and I like to just get to the next thing. And that tends to stick really well and it dries very quickly. So just pop it back in. Be careful not to drag it too much on the back. And then I'm gonna take, just doesn't matter what you use, just gonna gently push down on that, get it so that it's glued, but you don't want it to stick to that. And there you go. You can, if you would like, put a little line of glue on the inside here and here if you want to put it through the mail and you want to send it, or you're going to use it as a card, or, but sometimes it's nice to leave those open because if you glue this into a journal, you can add little bits and pieces in and have some extra tuck spots. All right. And since this is a little bit of a thinner paper, if you try to do a closure like this, it might bend it. It might cause a little bit of I don't know, warping of the paper. So what I am going to do with mine is I'm going to just take some of my pre-cut out little circles that I've made into buttons. I'll find a cute one like this. Well, this one's not. So these are just circle punches of some fun paper. And then what you do is you just go in and I'll make a 2-hole button. That. So then it looks like, let me put a, let's grab a couple other options of what you could do. All right, so if you can, I don't know if you can really see that. I'm trying to find a solid color. There we go. So you've got what looks like a little button, and there's the corrugated side, which I'll probably use on this. And then you can either just glue that on like this. You can choose to run a little piece of yarn or string or anything like that through your button to make it look like you've sewn it on. Just disintegrated that string. So then what you would do is just make it look like it's a button that's sewn on, and then add a little glue back here, snip these off, you know, so that all you have is this. Let's just hide this up here for right now. And then you can glue this on here, and then that would make a cute little closure on here. You can do the 4-hole button where you do the little X. You can circle punch out some little other circles, and then I'll just give it a little finishing touch. You can add some lace. I don't have any lace out here right now, but I do have some. What is this? Oh, my workspace is very, very small on this desk that I'm working on today. You can take like little bits of lace or trim, and you can put them on the edge like that for finishing. But what I like to do with these to keep them closed is if they're going to go into a journal, is you want them to be somewhat flat. And if you use a paper clip that has a big bead on it, then it's not going to be very flat inside of your journal. So instead, I will do some of these little flat paper clips, and they stick like this, or you can put one on the side so that then it hangs off the page a little bit when you either glue this in your book, or if you are just going to paper clip it in. So just a simple idea, but I really wanted to just show you guys the basics of this fold out envelope. All right, so that is idea number one. And the second idea is we're going to make let me just grab it again. So we have these little fold in half ones that don't seem to want to hold a lot of bulky stuff. Okay, there we go. And so this one, because it's a little wider, does hold a little bit more, but I mean, you're very limited to the thickness of the width of the envelope. And if you're going to make these and stick them inside of your journals, and this is all completely flat and this is flat, it's very hard to get a lot more than maybe one or two little flat pieces in this style of an envelope. So I found a way to make this type of little paper envelope super simple, and make it almost the same, but then we can make an expanding one out of this. All right, I'm doing this just because I like that Argyle print. Whenever I'm making these, I like them to be rectangular as opposed to square, and you can do in whatever shape you would like. It's just easier when they are rectangular. And so the first part, what you're going to need is this, and then you need something to make the expandable sides, and that can be anything. So I'm going to grab a couple of bits out of my scrap bin. That would have been fun on the side, except for the fact I only have one. And depending on how wide you want it to open is how thick you need this, how wide you need your paper. So you'll need maybe two pieces to match each other. And let's see what I've got. And if I can't, oh, those don't even match each other. I guess they don't have to match, but I thought this was going to be a little easier than. Oh, why is it always when you're trying to find something fun in your scrap box, you can't find anything? And you want this to be not exactly, you don't want it to be too thin, because then you're going to, it might break down too quickly if you're opening and closing it a lot. But you don't want it to be so thick that it wants to just keep popping open. You know what? Maybe that will work. It's not all that super thrilling and exciting, but for what we have right here, that's what we're going to use. See, like, I don't want to use anything this like cardstock. I think that will be too heavy. I think file folder would be too heavy. So I think you're going to want to use something more paperweight, or I tend to like to use this fabric paper that has got like a cotton or linen content to it, because that's very, very strong. But again, I don't have enough of it in this little cute box. So I guess we are going to go with this paper. I think this will work just fine. Okay, so first we're going to start by making this envelope. So I'm going to get out, and of course I don't measure anything, just because I just know by eyesight what size I need, because you have your journal, you have your extra bits, you know what you need. So this can be any size you want to. you can do it in thirds and make that type of an envelope. You can do it where it's bigger on the bottom and a little tiny flap over, and I think that's how I'm going to do mine. And this paper is not super thick, so I guess I don't even need to score it. I thought I was going to need to score it, but it seemed to fold on its own. I like using that old paper cutter that the cutter doesn't work anymore, but the scorer still works very nicely. All right, and then this one, again, you don't want it to be right, you don't want to butt it right up against there. You want to give yourself just maybe about 1/4 of an inch. And I will tell you, do not always rely on the fact that the print on your, see this has like a little polka dot print, do not always rely that this is printed straight on the paper. I've had 12 by 12 where I go to fold it and then cut it along the dots or the pattern like down the argyle, and I get done with it and the whole thing is cockeyed. So go by using the square method and measuring that way, or not relying on the actual print on the paper. All right, and so the easiest way is I'm just gonna, maybe let's see if I can get it to there. That's what I'm gonna do. I am going to back this up just a little bit so that my diamonds, even though they're not the right color, at least they kind of coordinate, if you can see what I'm talking about. So at least they, looks kind of cute. Okay, and yet there is still enough of a flap over that you're not gonna run into any issues. Okay, so now we've got that part done. Now, we have this piece that we're gonna put on the sides. And while it might wanna go this way, I mean, it's wording, so I think it can go pretty much any way. And it already has some folds in it, but that's okay. It's just a junk journal. I hate to say that it's just a junk journal, but they really, you really can use almost anything for making junk journals. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this is very simply, we're going to fold this in half because I need 2 of them. So I'm just going to fold this in half and I'm going to give it a nice crease. And I could go get the paper cutter and cut that, but instead I'm just going to eyeball it because this edge right here is going to be on the inside. Okay. So we're just going to cut right down to make sure this is cut in half. But if you already have strips in your bin that, or your scrap box that will work, then use those. Okay, so then you're going to want to fold each of these in half. A lot of folding in this project. All right. Okay, and then what we're going to want to do is to measure. All we do is we set it in here and line it up. I don't know if you can see that, but we're not all the way at the very bottom. You don't want this paper in the actual crease. You want it ever so slightly, maybe a 1/16 of an inch maybe out of that crack or out of the fold. 1/16 of an inch, just enough so that you're not gluing into the fold. So I'm just going to make a little mark. Okay. And I'm going to take both pieces, line them up together, and then I'm going to cut to the left of my line, which should give me just the little extra bit off that I need to keep it out of the crease. Let's see if that worked. See, again, there is measuring, but the measuring is all based on your project, not based on a ruler. All right, so that looks like, I don't know if you can really see how much we are out of the crease. Okay, so we have 2 of these. Now, what we want to do is fold each one of these with the good side. So you want to fold good side of the paper to good side of the paper, or right side of the paper to right side of the paper. So we've got that. It's kind of like in sewing. So you want to fold these back out on themselves like little wings. We're going to try to make a M out of these. And again, they do not have to be perfect. And at this point, if you want to ink the edges and you want to ink the edges here so that the outside looks a little grungy, now is the time to do that. Okay, so now what we have are these two little, there we go, two little M's. And the good side is on the inside of the M and the white is on the outside of the M. So what we do now is we take our tri-fold piece and we're going to just, I always like to, before I glue it, I always like to make sure that my measurements don't change. Yeah, looks good. Okay, so what you want to do is with the good side out, so the good side pointing out, you'll want to glue on the white side or the non-side that you don't want showing. And you don't want to do too much glue because this could make a mess. And as you can see, I've been crafting, so I've got glue all over my fingers already. I'm kind of messy. I watch a lot of crafters and boy, they are just so neat and they don't seem to get glue on anything. Okay, so now we've got the glue here. And I always start by lining it up on the bottom of the fold. And that's why you want to always start on the outside as well, the outside piece, because then you know exactly where it's going to be put. All right, so now if you look, I've got, this is, the white is on the outside, and my M is facing that way. Okay. And then let's quickly do the other side, so that I don't bore you all to tears. It's funny, when I watch videos, sometimes I'm like, okay, I get it, let's go to the next part. But then other times I'm like, slow down, and they're not going any faster or slower than normal. It's just some people get different things, or some people want to craft along with you. Okay, and again, so you want the good side out. Line it up with the bottom of your, or I guess that'd be the top of your foldy part of your envelope. Sometimes if you use a little scrapey thing, it makes it so you don't get too full of glue. Okay, so now what you have are these two little accordions. Be careful that you don't get too much glue, so then your whole thing will be glued together. Now, same thing, you just want to take a little bit of glue and again, you can use glue stick, you can use double-sided tape, you can use regular white school glue or the clear school glue, or whatever you have will work. Oh, you see I'm going off the lines here. Okay, that's easy enough to fix. Now, this one you'll just go like this, and very gently make sure that it's nice and lined up and you don't have a bunch of white showing. And there you go. And now watch this. Let's see, the glue should have held already. Holding too well over here. Okay, there we go. All right. So now you can see where that little accordion bit helps this to open a little bit more than if it was just folded in half. Now, while this is finishing, we can decorate it up just a little bit. I'm just going to round the corners. I don't know why, because you won't really see it because of the pattern being so busy. And you could go ahead and ink this, and you can get as crazy or as simple as you want with this. You can ink all the way around it, ink this part, put yourself a little half circle here. You can ink on the inside. You could put a little sediment in here, a sentiment in here. But what I think I'm going to do is just do a simple closure with the wraparound, and we can do that very simply. And then we'll stick one into a journal. And hopefully this will inspire you to do something fun with yours. I'm just going to find a circle that I've already punched. Whenever I'm done doing a project and I've just got some extra little bits and pieces, I then will just do a bunch of punching out of just circles and squares and whatever. Or if I have time, I'll go through a box of old cards, like Christmas cards, birthday cards, whatever I've got. And then I just, the spots that you can't really use, they're not big enough, I just take my different size punches and punch them and sort them into like this, just big circles, circles that can be buttons if they have a cute pattern, circles that have like pictures so that I could center the actual circle on the little faces. Some of them I'll just cut in. I have a square punch that I'll punch and try to get a couple of words here and there. If it's really tiny, I'll try to punch and get little faces. I think that came off of a hair dye box. So just little bits and pieces that you can do while you're sitting in front of the TV, if you do that, or if you're just having some downtime. It doesn't take very long, and then you have these already done. Okay, so while I was in there, I was going to go with this one. It's like a little pearl. It's like pearls from a card, off-white pearl, and I thought, well, I could put gold right in the middle. Then I saw this, and I thought maybe if we use these little words, it would tie together the fact that we have little words on the side. I don't know, I think I just like the simple gold better. So then what we'll do is you could worry about making sure this hole was right in the center, but I'm not going to. I'm going to eyeball it and hope for the best. Okay, and then I'm going to just put a little bit of glue on this top one. You don't have to, but it keeps it from coming down too much. I'm going to use a brad on it, and so it should hold it down, but there we go. And then I just have a little box of brads, very simply, and I've got all different kinds. You could do stars and diamonds, and maybe that would be cute. Oh, but it's gold, and so the gold on gold I think is not going to show very well. That would have been a cute idea to have a gold or a diamond on here, but it's not going to work. So I might just use one of these. And I got these letters from somebody. They sent me a bunch of these brads that have letters on them, and so here, I'll use this big C. This looks like it will be okay. I could just use a plain one, but I'm going to use this big letter right here just because it just suited my fancy today. All right, if you're going to use a littler brad in here, then I would suggest not using a hole punch and just using an awl or a big tack or a safety pin. And look at what I just did. Okay, so obviously I can see that this packaging, you see how it's scratching? Obviously that packaging is not very scratch resistant, so looks like I will be using these letters after all. See, look at that. You go to do a video and your supplies fail you. But simple enough. We'll just glue that right on top. All right, and now I think this brad will be too busy. So let's see if we can either find just a plain solid colored one, or maybe we can use that diamond now. I think we can. It was meant to be. All right, this might get a little crazy because now we've got 2 layers that we needed to glue. So let's get some stuff to wrap it with. And I'm just going to use more of this, I don't know, I guess it would be yarn maybe? It comes in a yarn form. I mean, it comes in a ball, but I wouldn't necessarily call it yarn. I got it at I think a thrift store or a garage sale or something, and I just thought it was pretty because it had so many colors that you wouldn't have to worry so much about matching so many different things. You could use one for many different things. All right, so I'm just going to do a reverse hole. So I'll just line it up with the hole in the back, and let's hope for the best. There we go. Okay. Very simply now, we're going to just put this here, and we'll make a little hole, and we'll punch right there. And you could, I mean, you could measure to make sure it was right in the middle and be more precise, but I figure if it looks good by eye, then it's probably going to look good when it's all done. There's that. And then this one, I don't want to put any glue on it because I don't, I want it to be able to be raised a little bit off so I can wrap this yarn around it. So then we've got the little circle, we've got the little thing. Then I might just, I have a thing about, I don't want the brad to move. I want it to stay in the right diamond shape. So I'm going to find just a really simple colored little circle that's big enough. Not quite big enough. And of course, when you're looking for something, you'll never find it when you're in a hurry. That's always the way it goes, right? Well, this is just going to be, have to work. All right, so we're going to just use just this little circle. And I don't want I could use a little piece of washi tape too, but I didn't bring any over to my desk. It's on my washi tape board. Okay, and because I want to try to keep the diamond going the same way as the other diamonds, we'll just drop this little gray circle on there. All right, we're almost done. Alrighty, and so to keep this closed, again, we could very easily put a clip on it and call it a day, but since I'm doing this for you guys, I thought let's make it a little bit fancier. Okay, and so then all you do with this is you slip it behind the circle, try to pull it so it's coming all the way. I always give it a little tug, hold on to the brad and give it a little bit of a tug, and then tie a square knot, or a right over left and a left over right, and that should secure it. And you don't want this to be too thick because then it makes your little disc thing that you've set up, it makes it a little bit bulky. So you want to try to find something, twine, a little piece of hemp, a little piece of string, some embroidery floss even works, whatever you would like. Okay, so that should be secure. So then I'm going to peek in here and use my little bandage scissors and see if I can nip this off underneath. Okay, pretty simple. And then just to finish it off, we'll just wrap it. You can do it once, or if you want to show off more of the yarn, you can do it a second time. Tuck those both underneath like that, and then wrap it around. And if you wanted to, you could string a little bead on the end of this, a little pom-pom. You could take 2 of those circles and, or we could go something as simple as this. I'll do that. Let's put that a little bit smaller. And then what we'll do is we'll just open up our little book. Put just a tiny little bit of glue in there, enough that it'll hold that end piece and it'll stick together. So I'm going to put that in this way. And again, here is where you get the glue all over your fingers. Stick that on like that. Squeeze it shut. And then it will coordinate with your side pieces. Move all that out of the way. And then you have a little expanding, and it doesn't matter which way it opens, it'll, or which way it lands, it'll have the same. And you could ink around it if you wanted to. You can make any shape you want to. I just did this on the fly while we were here. And then you've got this nice little book, and to open, or this nice little expanding envelope. Like this, then you can open it up. Ta-da! You've got a little extra room, and however big you make this is how big your envelope is going to open. But then when you put it into a journal or next to a journal, it'll go flat as long as you don't put too many goodies inside. And there we go. We'll put that there, wrap it around once. Alrighty, and so there is that part. And let's quickly move all this out of the way. Then we'll grab the other one that we made. Okay, so now we have these 2 little flat journal or flat expanding envelopes. So you can use them on the side to put your extra bits in, or putting them into a journal. I said we were going to look at that. All right, here's just a plain page. Okay. Well, it does have a little butterfly, but that's okay. So with this, very simply, you could, if you wanted to, you could, not with this type of a closure on it. This type of a closure, if you were to glue this in here like this, then this is only going to, it would only open like this, but you'd only be able to wrap it one time. But I guess you could. I mean, that might look cute. It'd be like a mock wrap. So then you would glue this in just like this. Oh, no, you couldn't. Never mind. See, sometimes when you think it doesn't all work. So this one you would have to do a different type of closure, like probably just take your tie and glue it down like this. So then you would have a piece here, and then you could just tie it up like this. But with this one, I would say you would have to clip it in, or you could not put a tie on it, and you could add it to your journal like this and put a paper clip on it here, and then you open it up and you take it off, and it would just sit like this. If you are using this other type, same thing, you could glue it this way. If your journal was bigger or your pocket was smaller, like I said, that's why I don't measure anything. I just make it to fit what I'm doing. So if you wanted to glue it in this way, it would have to be a little bit smaller. You open it up, get your little goodies out. I mean, I guess if you wanted to, you could leave it, you'd have to use maybe a little stiffer paper, but you could glue it this way, and then you would see part of it on this side. So this would be the other side of the page, and you could maybe delineate and put like a little journaling spot here, and then your envelope would hang off the side. You can have it so it opens this way to get your things out. I don't know if you'd want to open it this way because then you're going against the book, but very simply you could do this, or again you can clip it like this, or you can flap it like a regular envelope. You can do this. You can glue this part down so that then when you open this, you can get your goodies out that way. So they're really versatile. They're really wonderful because you can put more things in them, but yet they're just a nice flat, easy to make type of expanding envelope. So, okay guys, we're done. Thank you so much for your patience. Thanks for crafting along with me today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If there's something you'd like to see me do, also leave that in the comments below. But it'd be really fantastic if you'd be willing to like and subscribe to my channel, because then it helps me get to more people and help other people with their paper crafting journeys. So have a great day, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.